Hey, all right, welcome. So, this video is not like my normal content. Usually I'm in the office, usually I'm with my setup, but I just got out cuz I'm working on some stuff for you guys on YouTube. That probably won't be announced for a little bit though. So, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'll probably be announcing that project in about a month or two, sometime in late November or late December. We're not 100% sure when we're launching that yet, but there is something in the works for you guys, but that's not important right now. This video is just, I didn't really get to making any content today because I've been working on other stuff. So I just thought I'd sit for a second in the car and talk to you guys about some things I've been thinking about, some things I've been contemplating on. So yeah, let's see if I can set the camera up here. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's see. There we go. Yeah. So, self-improvement, right? Self-improvement is an up and down journey, right? It's a difficult journey. It's not easy, right? Nobody who's ever really done this has ever said that it would be an easy process. That it would just be all sunshines and rainbows, right? You get on self-improvement and suddenly your life is just great and perfect and there's absolutely no problems whatsoever, right? That's just not how it works, right? That's not how it goes. In fact, your life might get worse if you get onto self-improvement, and not in the sense that you will actually get worse, but just in the sense that your experiences will become more intense because you're actually starting to face yourself. You're starting to face the aspects of yourself that are holding you back. Some of these can be very dark and very negative and very hard to actually experience and go through and overcome and face. Is the hardest part, is actually seeing it and willingly seeing the parts of yourself that are flawed. But it's necessary in order to overcome those aspects, in order to grow, in order to become better. We have to be able to see the parts of ourselves that are flawed before we can ever reach a higher level, before we can ever reach a new stage in our journey, right? We have to be able to face and overcome these obstacles, overcome these aspects of ourselves, these parts of ourselves. So when you get stuck on your journey, it's not a problem. It's not a lack of progress. It's actually just an opportunity to make more progress, right? When you get stuck on your journey, it's just an opportunity to face another part of yourself that's flawed, another piece of your, let's say, laziness, let's say your greed, your pride, your ego, right? You have to face these parts of yourselves and overcome them in order to reach the next stage. And so when you get stuck, this isn't a sign that you're not making progress. This isn't a wall necessarily, right? It's actually your opportunity to progress a little bit further, right? These experiences only come to you when you're ready for them, right? When you're ready to progress. Notice how when your life was easy, when you were just doing the easy habits, when you weren't committed to this journey, everything else around you wasn't as difficult, right? There wasn't as much going on around you because the pain you were already feeling internally because of the fact that you were stuck was enough. But now that you're overcoming that part of yourself, you're getting things moving, you're progressing again. Because of that, you have to now face the challenges that you have been putting off, the things that you've been putting to the side, right? The parts of yourself that you've been trying to escape and ignore by going about whatever vices you have, right? Doing whatever drugs, playing whatever video games, watching whatever content you use to distract yourself. You do these things to avoid the work. And so when you start to actually get moving again, when you start to progress, when you get onto this journey of self-improvement, you have to face all of that work that you've been putting aside, and you have to face the part of yourself that caused you to put that work to the side, right? The part of yourself that wasn't quite good enough to get it done. You have to face that and you have to overcome it. And then once you've done that, then you can actually move forward. Then you can actually move on and get to the next level, the next challenge, the next big thing. And so again, when that challenge comes to you, that isn't a roadblock, but rather an opportunity to reach the next level, an opportunity to become better, to become stronger, to become greater. Now, I have been implementing some new tactics, some new strategies for self-improvement, for tracking your habits, and specifically for beginners. I'm trying to help out beginners who are just getting into the journey and are still in that stage of being really stuck in instant gratification and not being able to commit to the delayed gratification, not being able to commit to the long-term habits. So I'm working on some tools, and I'm working on putting together some tools that would be helpful to these beginners, these individuals who are just starting on their journey. And I've found some pretty useful ones, right? Some pretty helpful ones that have completely transformed even my progress on my journey at this stage, right? And so I'll begin talking about those in future videos. But one thing I've noticed is this is the most consistent I've ever been in my life for the last month or so, 2 months. And it's because I have no other obligations, right? I'm out of school. I have no other job or anything like self-improvement, and my business is my job. That's all I do. So that in and of itself has made it so that I've been able to really lock in and really focus on what's the most effective way of progressing, what's the most effective way of staying consistent on your habits. And what I found is that even when you are being consistent, right, even when you're really on that journey, the best way to stay consistent and the best way to stick to the habits is to actually just to get comfortable, is actually getting comfortable within the fluctuations of life, right? Not so much expecting the journey to be easy, not expecting that once you start to make progress, once you start to build up momentum, that things will get easier, but rather that things will always and constantly continue to fluctuate, right? You will never feel like this all the time, but you will also never feel like this all the time as long as you're progressing, right? If you start to get stagnant, then this will continue to go down. But when you're working, when you're making progress, it looks more like this. It's constant rises and it's constant falls, right? You're constantly feeling great, but then also feeling like shit maybe 2 to 3 hours later. But what I've noticed is feeling like shit is the result of all of the negative habits that you've been doing over the last few months, weeks, and years, right? That have started to mold you into this lower version of yourself, mold you into a weaker version of yourself, and that causes pain to be consistent, right? You constantly feel that pain. You're always feeling like pretty much just like shit. But then once you started to implement some of the new habits, some of the self-improvement stuff, you start to feel better sometimes. But then other times you're still feeling the kickback of the old self, right? You're still feeling the kickback of the old habits, right? You're still feeling the kickback of the drug in your system, or like that shitty food that you ate last week is still being processed and still being detoxed out of your body and removed from your body, right? So that means that as long as you're still in the beginning stages, you're not always going to feel good, right? It's going to fluctuate. And even when you are in the end stages, or you've been making a significant amount of progress on self-improvement, you're still not going to feel good all the time. And so the best consistency tactic that I found is to actually just become comfortable in the fluctuation. Stop waiting until it feels good to do it. Stop waiting until it feels perfect to pursue it, and become perfectly comfortable, become perfectly content within the lows and the highs of the journey, right? Because you will feel good sometimes. You'll feel really, really good, but you will also feel really bad sometimes, right? And this is natural. This is going to happen regardless of whether you're on self-improvement or not, right? But when you're on self-improvement, you can guarantee that over time, the longer you do it, both the highs will become better and greater, but also they last longer because you're making this kind of progress. You're making yourself better, and so naturally you feel better more often. But it still fluctuates, right? You still have lows. You still have mornings when you don't feel like doing it, right? You still feel like shit some days. You might have late nights sometimes, right? You might eat like shit sometimes. You might slip up on your diet, and you might feel like shit because of that. But don't use that as an excuse to fall off, right? Don't use that as an excuse to slow down. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep going. The more you stick to the process, the more you stick to the habits you've set for yourself, the more you keep consistently working at it and consistently growing and becoming better, the better you'll feel over time in the long term. But that, again, it never stays consistent. You never always feel good. It's always going to fluctuate. And so you have to be comfortable just sticking to the habits when you don't feel like doing it, when you feel like shit, when the last thing that you want to do is these habits, is the work, right? You still got to do it. You still got to stick to it, right? Because by doing that work, your state will fluctuate again, and you'll go from feeling like shit to feeling better again, right? And then the next morning, you'll probably feel like shit because you're still just beginning. You're still just building momentum. And so that constant up and down, you have to get used to that. And you have to get used to balancing it out, right? And bringing it to a state of resonance where it is consistently, you can consistently push it to rise, that state. You can consistently push your state to rise to a higher state, right? But until you've balanced out the fluctuations because of this up and down that is happening as a result of you breaking through the old version of yourself, that resistance that you feel, that pulling away from you, is your old self pulling and trying to pull you back, right? All you have to do is break and sever that tie. But when you first do that, it causes this internal shifting back and forth, this internal intense fluctuation of your energy, of your state, right? So you feel this extreme high and this extreme low. But over time, as you progressively continue to stick to these habits and integrate and implement more of the positive habits and remove more of the negative habits, the more you balance out this fluctuation and you balance out this state to a state where you can consistently push yourself in one forward direction and consistently make progress and consistently build up the momentum that you're trying to build. And so this is something I've been experiencing. This morning, yesterday, the last 5 days, I have not felt like doing the work. I haven't felt like getting up, and I haven't really been making much content because of that. I've been doing work on this other project I'm working on. I have an ebook I've just finished writing. So I've been working on some other things, but even then I haven't really put in all of the time that I could and all of the effort that I could because I haven't been feeling it, right? But I've been making sure that I still show up and still do the work. And because of that, I finished an ebook this week, right? I finished working on, I'm creating a website as part of this project that I'm working on. So I built out the website for that project. But I know I could have done more, yet it didn't matter because I still showed up when I didn't feel like going. And that's the important thing, is that repetition of showing up anyways. But since I showed up twice, since I showed up even though I didn't feel like it, I was able to still make progress when the old version of me would have given up, when the old version of me would have taken a break, right? When the old version of me would have taken time off, when the old version of me would have taken it easier, right? Would have changed it up so that it fit into the way I felt and not so much altering my state in the way I feel so that I can still do the work and still apply myself. Some people don't know how to change their state though, and so the important thing is to just do the work, right? Because doing the work anyways, no matter how you feel, will alter your state, will change your state of being in such a way that you can actually apply yourself and do the work necessary. So even though I didn't feel like it, I showed up anyways. And two things happened as a result of that. One was that I made more progress than I would have on a normal day, a normal week, when I feel that way, right? When I feel unmotivated, the old version of me would have given up. The old version of me would have taken a break, taken it easy because of that. But since I showed up, I still got my work done, right? I still applied myself. And as a result of that, the second thing that happened is that my state increased. Now I feel better. Now I feel more motivated at the end of the week, right? I pushed through feeling like shit all week, so that now, because I pushed through it instead of giving up, now I feel better, right? Now I feel motivated again. Now I feel good again. Constant fluctuation is consistent. It's been going on ever since I started my journey, right? And these last few weeks, since I've been implementing a new process, right, a new protocol, it's been a learning curve, right, of implementing new habits and sticking to new habits and sticking to a new process. But I've been consistent on it even when I don't feel like doing it. And every time I do it when I don't feel like it, I get a boost of motivation. I get a boost of productivity, right? You can see this in a lot of my videos. I talk about this concept of dopamine rising and increasing after the activity is done. After you've done the thing that seems hard, that's when you get a boost of dopamine. That's when you start to actually feel more motivated again. So in the beginning stages, this fluctuation is intense, right? These lows feel intense, but they are just a feeling. It isn't a reason to stop. It's actually a sign that you're moving in the right direction because you feel this intense dread, because you feel this intense level of pain. That means that you're changing in a consistent way, or in a significant way, rather. This means that you're changing in a significant way. This means that you're actually making progress in the right direction. And so it's important that you ensure that you keep doing the work when you get into this state. When you get into the state of feeling unmotivated, you gotta push through, because that's the important point of the journey. That's when you're about to break through. That's when you're about to reach the next level. So I hope this video was helpful. It was just a quick rant. I wanted to make a video because I haven't in a while. I still have uploads set, so like you're not gonna notice that I haven't been recording. But I just wanted to make a video because I haven't in a while, and I think this is a very important piece and an important point that I really want to emphasize. I'm pretty sure I made another video on a similar topic, but I think this is a very important point to emphasize because it's key, right? It's key. When you lose motivation, that is the best time to keep working, right? That is the best time to put your head down and grind, because through that pain and discomfort, that is where you will unlock this next level. This is where you unlock the next stage, right? This is probably the worst I've felt on my journey in a very long time, but it's also the most consistent I've ever been. And so even though internally I might not feel great, I can see the progress that I'm making. And so that gives me a feeling of not so much pleasure, but just enjoyment and overall joy, right? It gives me a sense of bliss and joy knowing that I'm making progress, knowing that I'm moving in the right direction. So that's all I have for you guys, and go ahead and check out the link if you guys want coaching directly from me to begin your self-improvement journey and start to implement these habits and start to remove all of the bad habits that are holding you back, right? That is all I have for you guys though. So if you want more content like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button. That's all for me, and I'm out of here. Peace.